All right, welcome back, learners. We're jumping right back into modern Indian history.
Picking up where we left off.
Exactly. This is crucial stuff, especially if you're a UPSC aspirant out there.
Absolutely. Or really anyone who finds India's journey through history fascinating, this is for you.
And last time, we kind of set the stage, right? But today, we're going deep on a group you might not have heard about.
Yeah, the Indian Independence Committee in Berlin.
It's such a cool story that really shows just how global India's fight for freedom was.
Oh, for sure. I mean, picture this. World War I is raging. You've got international intrigue, revolutionaries working from afar. It's not your typical history lesson.
No, not at all. Okay, so to paint a picture for our listeners, we're in 1915, World War I, as you said, and India is under British rule, but of course, the desire for independence is bubbling up. Tell us about this committee. Who are the big names, the movers and shakers, so to speak?
Well, you've got some really prominent figures leading the charge. Guys like Virendranath Chattopadhyay, Bhupendranath Dutta, and Lala Hardayal.
Names to remember, for sure.
Definitely. And these weren't just intellectuals sitting in ivory towers. These were activists, revolutionaries who were putting everything on the line for their cause.
They were in the thick of it.
Absolutely. And they saw this war, this global conflict, as a potential turning point for India. They thought, hey, we can use this. We can leverage these global power dynamics to our advantage.
Smart. Play the game, right.
Exactly. Now, their mission, their goals, they were incredibly ambitious. We're not talking about small concessions here. These guys wanted complete independence for India.
Total freedom, nothing less.
Right. And to get there, they had some really bold objectives. They were trying to get funding and arms from the Germans.
I can see how that would ruffle some feathers back in London.
Oh, yeah. The idea was to weaken the British war effort by any means necessary, and they even explored the possibility of launching a military attack on British India from Afghanistan, with German support.
Wow, that's a bold move.
And on top of that, they were working to help Indian patriots who were living abroad get back to Europe. They were building this network of revolutionaries ready to strike when the time was right.
It sounds like they were playing a high-stakes game on the world stage.
They were. And like you said before about playing the game, their strategies were rooted in this idea of realpolitik. It's a political philosophy that puts practical considerations of power and national interest above, ethical concerns.
Nepotism over everything.
Exactly. They knew that to take on the British Empire, they needed powerful allies, and Germany, being at war with Britain, they saw an opportunity there. Supporting anti-colonial movements was a way for them to gain a strategic advantage.
So it was a calculated risk, this alliance.
It was a gamble, really, on a global scale. But, and I think you know where I'm going with this, things didn't exactly go as planned.
History rarely goes according to plan, does it?
Nope, it sure doesn't. So despite their vision, their grand plan, the committee ran into some serious internal problems. You see, they had these differing viewpoints on the best way to achieve independence, and that created friction within the group.
Internal struggles, as if fighting an empire wasn't tough enough.
Exactly. It's a tale as old as time. And in this case, it was made even more complicated by, the fact that the world was changing around them. World War I was coming to an end, and Germany was on the losing side.
That had to hurt.
Yeah, it did. It meant that their leverage, their power was diminishing rapidly. So the committee, they kind of started to splinter. Some members, they went and set up branches in other parts of the world, hoping to keep the fight alive from different locations. But Berlin, well, it wasn't the center of the movement anymore.
And what about the original committee? Did they just fade away?
They did eventually dissolve, yeah.
It almost feels like a story of unfulfilled potential. Like a revolutionary spark that just flickered out. But I'm sure their work, their effort, wasn't completely in vain.
Absolutely not. The Indian Independence Committee might not be a household name. They might not be as well known as some other figures or movements in India's struggle for independence, but their story is important.
I agree.
Their story gives us valuable insight into the global reach of this movement and the lengths to which these individuals were willing to go to seek support. They were looking anywhere and everywhere.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners?
Yeah.
Especially those UPSC folks studying for their exams.
Think about this. How did the context of World War I, this huge global conflict, help and hinder the committee? How did their internal struggles affect their mission?
Those are great questions to ponder.
I think by exploring those questions, you can really deepen your understanding of this complex and fascinating period in history.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And as always, remember to like and subscribe for more deep dives into these fascinating topics.
We'll be back with more.
You got it.